Hi, I'm Judy Fischel. In college, students are expected to become critical thinkers. Do you know what that means? Stella Cottrell writes, students are expected to develop critical thinking skills so they can dig deeper below the surface of the subject they're studying and engage in critical dialogue with its main theories and arguments. Movie critics are critical thinkers who think about movies. First, they have to see a lot of movies. They pay close attention to the acting, plot, music, and special effects. They evaluate these, forming opinions that they will share with their audience. Restaurant critics are critical thinkers who go to restaurants, eat a good meal, and write about their experience. They get paid for doing that. Nice, isn't it? But it isn't an easy job. Like the movie critic, they begin with a long list of questions. They won't include all of this information in the article they write, but they will include what they think their readers will find interesting and helpful. Students are often asked to critique a short article. To do this, you must first understand the content, identify the thesis, know questions to ask, and be able to write a critique. A typical list of questions could include these 5 areas: clarity, fairness, evidence, conclusions, and reasoning. And certainly your list will vary according to the subject you're studying and the topic covered in the article. To evaluate clarity, you might ask questions like, are any of the statements ambiguous or confusing? Are there overgeneralizations with words like everyone or nobody, never or always? Is the material oversimplified? Are the statements deceptive? Do they mix facts and evidence? To evaluate fairness, you might include, can the author's statements be trusted? Is the information complete? Does the author consider different points of view? Is there evidence of bias? What assumptions are made? For example, do they assume that you will share their opinions and their values? To evaluate the evidence, you might ask, was the sample large enough and representative of the whole population? That's especially important in science. How is the data collected, measured, and recorded? Do the visuals accurately represent the data? To evaluate reasoning, you might ask, is the evidence relevant? Is the evidence adequate? What evidence could prove this conclusion false? Is the reasoning logical? To evaluate the conclusions, it's good to ask, could the evidence have led to a different conclusion? Or does this evidence prove cause and effect, or just a correlation? Are they really sure? Is this always true? There are so many questions. It would take forever to ask all of them. Okay, not really forever, but a very long time. But having a lot of questions just means that you have a choice. In other words, you do not need to answer all the questions that were listed before. You might look for questions about what was best in the article and what kind of problems did you find. Some students object to this kind of assignment and they say, you shouldn't ask me to critique an article written by an expert in the field. Well, you should understand that even the experts do make mistakes. You might uncover some real problems, but even if you don't, that's okay. This is simply an exercise to show that the students know how to write a critique, that you are a critical thinker. Critical thinking isn't just about writing critiques. You should use critical thinking skills in all parts of your life. According to Stephen Brookfield, when we think critically, we come to our judgments, choices, and decisions for ourselves instead of letting others do this on our behalf. And one last reminder, you do not become a critical thinker just by reading about critical thinking. That's like learning to swim by reading about it. You must practice critical thinking every day. You must keep asking questions like these. Continue to evaluate what you have read, what you hear, what you write, what you say, or even what you think. When you do this, you will learn one of the most important skills, one you will use for the rest of your life, and that's critical thinking. If you have comments or questions, please go to my website. You can also email me at jjfishel@gmail.com.